Hi, I'm Mark Boccuzzi. I'm the Executive Director, Co-founder, and a researcher at the Windbridge Research Center. And today I'd like to talk to you about the VISTA program, applying controlled remote viewing to afterlife research. One of the questions I'm asked most often is, what is the afterlife like? People want to know what will happen when they get there. Will they reincarnate? Will their companion animals be there to greet them? Will they be able to continue to see the living? Will their family be waiting for them? Or maybe they're just afraid that they might be going to some bad place. Much of the information we have about the afterlife comes from a variety of sources. These include mediums and mediumship readings, channeled information, reports from near-death experiences, and religious texts. Now, each one of these methods has their own strengths and weaknesses, and we were wondering if we could build upon this information by developing a program that used tighter experimental controls, like masking or experimental blinding, randomization, and more detailed data analysis. To that end, we created the Windbridge Research Center's VISTA program. The goal of the program is to attempt to collect information about the afterlife through tightly controlled experiments. And to round out our team for this program, we partnered with Dr. Dominique Sorel. Since we knew we would be getting our information from a non-materialist source, that would be the afterlife, we knew we needed to engage or deploy a non-reductionist, non-materialist methodology. So we took a step back and we looked at many of the methodologies that are commonly employed to collect these kinds of data. Where we landed was a methodology known as controlled remote viewing, or CRV. Now, CRV has a number of advantages, and there's also a few challenges. The advantages include the fact that this is a mature protocol. It's been around since the 1960s, and it's constantly been revised and updated. It is tightly controlled. There have been multiple papers published that show an effect across multiple domains. There have been multiple meta-analyses published that verify the effect. There's also an active population of remote viewers who are interested in participating in research. And many remote viewers, because of the nature of the protocol, are used to working under tight laboratory conditions. Some of the challenges we knew that we would face would include wording the targets properly. We need to be very specific and careful when we define a remote viewing target. And we knew that there would be challenges when we wanted to analyze the results, since we were asking the viewers to provide information about an unknowable target. So let's look at VISTA Phase 1. In this phase, we deployed a controlled remote viewing protocol in which we asked the viewers to provide information about 3 possible targets. The first was a discarnate, a specific discarnate. The second was information about the afterlife itself. And the third was a target in the physical world. And we wanted to use this as a control to see if the viewers could get accurate information about physical life, then it might weight their results for the other targets a little bit better. So as in a typical remote viewing setup, we assigned each one of these targets with a unique random ID number. And then we set up experimental blinding or masking so that the numbers were separated from the actual target descriptions. We then employed 3 remote viewers, and we asked each of them to do a reading for each of the targets. So all viewers viewed all 3 targets. For the tasking, we kept it very simple. We gave each viewer the target ID and said, ask them to provide any relevant information about the target. This may include people, locations, and/or activities. So what did we find? Well, I don't have time to go through all the results from all the different viewings, but I want to select some that we think were pretty interesting. So one of the first targets was physical life, was me in my office sitting in front of my computer. And so the second remote viewer provided this feedback. I keep seeing a black box object. It has a laminated, shiny metal surface with grids for ventilation. Inside the box, there are mechanical components, such as panels and circuit boards. It looks unique and produces a scratchy humming noise. This was the actual target. This was actually where I was sitting next to my computer, and you can see that that description matches my desktop computer pretty closely. When we asked that viewer, again under blinded conditions, to describe the afterlife, what they reported was the following. The environment is vast, remote, exotic. There is a feeling of benevolence, a feeling of freshness, enchanting, greatness, forever, holy, warm, non-judgmental. The movement feels synchronized, open, like a great escape. It is massive and intriguing. Now again, this is the same viewer that just told us about computer equipment in a previous viewing. And again, under blinded conditions, these remote viewers could be given any target. So when we asked viewer number 1 about the afterlife, here was the response. The signal is fading before it goes through some type of veil. It is thin, but only a certain type of energy or frequency can go through it. It does not feel dense. It is expansive. It has a cloud-like feel about it. And when we asked the first viewer about the next target, which again under blinded conditions was a specific female discarnate, they wrote, I perceive a cloud-like energy, and in the middle but far away inside this cloud is the face of a woman. It seems that she can see me, but I cannot communicate with her. I don't know how to go through the veil. She is kind, warm-hearted, and I can see forgiveness, effortless forgiveness. This was strange. The viewer went on to comment that this was a strange viewing experience for me. The fact that I felt the woman could see me was a first for me. So phase 1 was exploratory, and we have some very preliminary results here. But this pilot data seems to be the first of its kind, and it seems to imply that controlled remote viewing may be useful for collecting information about the afterlife using a robust and established methodology, which in this case was controlled remote viewing. So, as I said, this is the most asked question, but why would we want to spend our time trying to answer it? Well, the simple answer to that question is, well, our mission is to help ease suffering around dying, death, and what comes next. And if we can alleviate fear around the nature of the afterlife, then we're completing our mission. Many people experience high levels of death anxiety or fear of death. And if we can combine the data that supports the existence of survival, which is what the data currently seems to say, that there is some sort of afterlife, along with more detailed information about the afterlife from projects like the VISTA program, we may be able to continue to lower people's death anxiety. Understanding the continuation of life allows people to be more present in their lives and accept the inevitability of death with less fear. So just a few key takeaway points before we wrap this up. Fear of death increases suffering at end of life and in our daily lives. Findings from afterlife science can provide relief from death anxiety, allowing us to make decisions that are heart-centered, mindful, agency-based, versus ones that are fear-based and impulsive. While we're still making progress in this area of research, there are still more questions than answers, and we still need to continue this research. So what's next for the VISTA program? We've already taken a step back and revised our protocols based on what we learned during phase 1. So we're ready to start running phase 2 trials. Once those are complete, we'd like to present the phase 2 results at a conference, and then we'd like to publish the phase 2 results in a peer-reviewed journal. And as we do at the Windbridge Research Center for all of our research findings, we want to create and publish free educational materials based on those findings. Just a few acknowledgements. I'd like to thank Dr. Julie Beischel, the Director of Research at the Windbridge Research Center, of course Dominique Sorel, the remote viewers who participated in this study, the people who supported this project, and the people who continue to support the work of the Windbridge Research Center. Thank you.